Aloha, precious souls, brothers and sisters from Earth. Reading tonight from The Magic Presence, the 1935 transmission of Saint Germain through Godfrey Ray King. Tonight we're going to take an inside look and understanding, or understanding, what Saint Germain taught us about eating meat back in 1935. And some of you will appreciate this, and some of you might be a little rattled. But let's just weigh in on what the masters have to say tonight about the idea of eating animal products. You see, there is a definite reason why we never eat meat and why human beings should not eat it either. This is because the atoms of which it is composed are the condensation into the substance of this world of mankind's own vicious thoughts and feelings of the past. Animals were not in existence upon this planet during the first two golden ages. They only began to appear after humanity had generated the discord that followed those two periods. The first creation described in Genesis referred to those two golden ages, and they were described as very good. Then the mist arose, and the so-called, quote, fall of man came about, by the attention of the intellect becoming focused upon the appetites of the body through the feeling. Hold on a second. Let's try different lighting here. That might help just a little bit. Thus the outer mind became more and more enmeshed in the world of things, and hence forgot the source and powerhouse of its being, which is the mighty I Am Presence. The plan of completeness or divine way of life was lost sight of, and more discord has continued to creep into the feeling of humanity ever since. As long as human beings insist on killing animals, they will never be able to break the vicious habits within their own feeling by which they have bound themselves, for they are constantly destroying their own bodies and shutting out the finer mental impulses. The love of mankind for domestic animals is raising and purifying some of that past creation and releasing that stream of life into a more harmonious phase of existence. As humanity becomes more harmonious and pure, all animals will be respected on earth. Also, the weeds and blight upon plant life will be removed, and the earth once again returns to her pristine purity described as the Garden of Eden, meaning obedience to the divine wisdom. The great harm of meat eating is that the flesh of the animal records the feeling of fear it experiences when killed. The animal, which has an emotional body and the vibration of fear recorded previous to and at the moment of death, qualifies the flesh, and that quality is absorbed by the emotional body of the human being who eats it. It also causes a certain substance to condense into the brain, which dulls the intellect and prevents the finer impulses from flowing into it from the mighty I Am Presence. This substance, even as ascended master will not interfere with, because the individual does these things on his or her own free will. Fear, in its many subtle phases, is the predominant feeling within mankind today. This is 1935. Has things changed much? And it is the wide open door through which the sinister forces holds its control in the personality and does its destructive work. The teaching that it is necessary to eat meat in order to obtain strength is vicious and entirely untrue. For the elephant, one of the strongest creatures on our earth, is a non-meat eating animal. Same is true for gorillas. The idea that serums, medications, whatever you want to call it, remedies, made from animals and animal products can produce health and perfection or protection against disease in a clean child's body or that of an adult is another consciously directed activity of the sinister force in this world. It breaks down the health and resistance in the race that the destructive feeling may hold sway and destroy the ideals of mankind. The profession, the medical profession, which you know is controlled by big, you know what, those guys, has been unknowingly or knowingly made a cat's paw for this destruction under the guise of pseudoscience. It is only because of the persistent stubbornness in the sense appetites which are feeling in the human body that the race keeps using its marvelous mental capacity and the wonderful pure energy from the mighty I Am Presence to create more and more destruction. When human beings will spend the same amount of time and energy studying perfection and the wonderful miracles of creation that face us everywhere, as they now do, in gratifying the physical appetites and sense pleasures and whims of the personal self, they too will produce the same miracles the ascended masters are doing today. However, before 50 years are past, that would have made it 1985, mankind will look back upon the meat-eating habit of today, and as we now look upon cannibalism. There are several things that leave a substance in the brain which must be cleared away. And you're concerned about forever chemicals. Just think what the forever meat problem is in people's brain. It leaves a substance in the brain which must be cleared away. If the full perfection from the mighty I Am Presence is to be released through the personal consciousness, these are in order of their importance. These are the things that the masters have strictly told us we need to eliminate from our diet and from our consumption, from our use. In this order: narcotics, alcohol, meat, tobacco, excess sugar, salt, and strong coffee. 1935, they were telling us to stay away from sugar and salt. Interesting. Now we come to the remedy for these things, for I will never point your attention to any consideration of imperfection without showing you the way to transcend it and replace it by perfection brought about harmoniously. I want you to realize always that whatever needs to be changed in the physical experience, if you will call your mighty I Am Presence into action through your mind and body, the result will always be produced without suffering or discord of any kind. The way of perfection, which is the activity of the I Am Presence, never demands of the personal self anything but the letting go of chains, its discords, limitations, beliefs, thought patterning, and its sufferings. And thus change is always brought about harmoniously and through divine love. The way to purify the brain and body structure, if the personality has been putting these substances into the physical body in the past, is to call to your mighty I Am Presence, to pour through your mind and body its violet consuming flame using the following affirmation. Listen closely, I will repeat it and let it sink in. Mighty I Am Presence, blaze through me thy consuming flame of divine love. Take this desire out of me, annihilate its cause, effect, record, and memory, past, present, and future, and replace it by the fullness of yourself, your perfect satisfaction, and hold your full dominion here forever. Now, if this is YouTube and it does a transcript, you can read it as many times as you want, my friends. Let's continue. This same affirmation can be used for another with the same miraculous and permanent accomplishment. Then spend a few moments, at least 3 times a day, visualizing yourself standing within a pillar of violet flame, rushing from feet to some distance above the head and extended for at least 3 feet on each side of the body. Hold this picture as long as you can comfortably do so and feel the flame, which is the purifying power of divine love, penetrating every cell of your body. This dissolves all impure and unnecessary substances in the cells of the body, thus clearing and illuminating the consciousness. This is part of the knowledge of the sacred fire, which has only been taught in the retreats of the Great White Brotherhood throughout the centuries. It is the way the Ascended Masters purify and heal and harmonize mankind and the very earth itself. It is the power by which so-called miracles are performed. It can never have any other effect in either the brain, body, or affairs but great ease, comfort, peace, and eternal good. In my reference to the animal creation of this world, I wish you to understand that the birds were originally created by the Ascended Masters, as messengers for the use of humanity. What destructive qualities they sometimes express are due to the radiation of discord from human beings. As the new age comes in, these qualities will disappear. Nature, and by that I mean the plant and mineral life of this earth, is created and brought forth by the great cosmic masters who design and direct the creation of a planet at cosmic levels. Nature within herself is forever pure, and if humanity did not impose its own discord and impurity upon the very atmosphere in which plant life grows, there could not be poisonous weeds or plants in existence. There was a time upon this earth when everything in nature affected the minds and bodies of humans beings harmoniously. Within nature is a self-purifying, self-protecting, immortal activity, which tolerates only for a time man's vicious genius for destruction. Cataclysmic disaster is her method, or natural, whatever you want to call it, of nature, natural purification, is her method to blah, 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 blah. In returning this to man with which he has imposed, it's her method of self-defense in returning to man that he has imposed upon her in the centuries past. Thus, through life after life, man continually meets his own creation, turned upon himself until he builds the universe according to the pattern of divine perfection, which is the true expression of his own divinity. After age after age, nature is continually throwing back upon man, through cataclysmic action, his own iniquity, and she is stronger than any opponent, because she, this is nature, is the direct creation and outpouring of the ascended masters. In this way, man's own discord destroys and buries himself, and nature, in her pristine purity, goes on serenely expressing her immortality. Notice the many civilizations that have been built upon this earth, and the fact that nature has so completely obliterated all traces of man's work in them, until only in tradition and myth is where the faintest record of some of these activities. Man, if he has attained wisdom, which is the constructive use of all knowledge, let me repeat that, wisdom is defined as the constructive use of all knowledge, may have the perfect cooperation of nature's gigantic forces, and through them make this accomplishment immortal also. He must stop the stupendous slaughter of animals for food and the business of raising them to kill. A few moments after we begin, and then it goes into the evening, what happens with him and these other guests that showed up. So that's the Ascended Master's take on eating meat from the Magic Presence channel in 1935. So take that to heart if you still think meat's the answer. And some of you vegans and raw foodists that started taking up meat again because these meat salesmen did a hell of a good job convincing you that you were deficient and that meat was going to solve that for you. So whatever that's worth, I love you guys. Aloha. Happy thanks everything. Thanks for receiving. Thanksgiving. Thanks. Aloha.